Hey everyone, I'm Parker, and welcome to The Explainer. So let's talk about something that is just super frustrating. You do everything right, you go to bed on time, you clock a full 8 hours, but when that alarm goes off, you feel like you've been hit by a truck. It is one of the worst feelings, and today we're going to dig into the science behind why this happens. So, does that sound familiar? If it does, you are so not alone. This isn't just about being a little tired. It's this really weird, genuine disconnect where the time you're putting into sleep just doesn't seem to pay off in actual energy. And look, the scale of this problem, it's huge. According to the CDC, more than 1 in 3 American adults regularly don't feel rested, even after what should be a full night's sleep. This isn't just a few people having a bad night. It's practically an epidemic of exhaustion. So, what gives? Okay, so this gets us to the absolute heart of the matter. We've got to start thinking about sleep in two different ways: sleep quantity versus sleep quality. Yeah, 8 hours in bed is just a measure of time. It's the effectiveness of those hours, right? That's what actually decides if you wake up ready to go or just completely wiped. All right, so to really get a handle on quality, we need to peek behind the curtain at what your brain is actually doing all night long. Scientists have this cool term for it: sleep architecture. And it's all built on these repeating cycles. It's easy to think of sleep as just this one long, solid block of time, but it's not like that at all. Instead, it's a series of these roughly 90-minute cycles that just repeat over and over again, 4 to 6 times a night. Think of it kind of like a playlist on repeat. Each cycle has different songs or stages, and your brain and body, they need to get through the whole playlist to feel rested. Now, one of the most important stages on that playlist is called N3, or what we all know as deep sleep. This is literally your body's physical charging station. This is where all that restoration happens: tissue repair, muscle recovery, the whole deal. So if you're waking up feeling sore and just physically beat for no good reason, you're probably not getting enough of this good stuff. All right, and then we've got REM sleep. And if deep sleep is all about the body, REM sleep is like the brain's nightly software update. This is where you're sorting through your day, processing emotions, locking in memories. It's even where a lot of your creativity comes from. So, wake up feeling mentally scattered, foggy, maybe a little on edge? Yeah, you probably got shorted on REM. And look, don't just take my word for it. This quote from a sleep expert just hits the nail on the head. The problem for so many people, it's not the hours in bed, it's that they're just not spending enough quality time in those critical deep and REM stages. Their sleep is what we call fragmented. It's choppy. They're constantly getting pulled out of the good stuff and back into lighter sleep. Okay, so the big question is, what is doing that? What is pulling us out of that deep, restorative sleep we so desperately need? Let's dive in and identify the top sleep saboteurs, the things that are messing with our sleep, a lot of times without us even knowing it. So here they are, the usual suspects. First up, chronic stress. I mean, of course. It keeps your body in this constant fight or flight mode. Then you've got circadian disruption. That's when your internal body clock is all out of whack. We've got alcohol, which, spoiler alert, is not your friend. Then there's just plain old poor sleep hygiene, your daily habits. And last, but definitely not least, a really big one: obstructive sleep apnea. Let's just park on that last one for a second, sleep apnea, because get this, an estimated 26% of adults have this condition. 26%. That's where you literally stop breathing over and over all night long. And every single time it happens, your body freaks out and jolts you out of deep sleep to get you breathing again. This can happen hundreds of times a night, and you might not even remember it. It is a massive and massively underdiagnosed reason for feeling exhausted. Okay, and what about that nightcap? That glass of wine to relax? It really feels like it helps you unwind and fall asleep, right? Well, it's a total trap. See, alcohol is a sedative, so yeah, it can knock you out. But later in the night, it absolutely demolishes your sleep architecture, especially by suppressing that super important REM sleep. So you might conk out fast, but you wake up feeling, mentally foggy and emotionally raw, because your brain never got to run its software update. All right, enough with the bad news, because here's the really fantastic news. Poor sleep quality is, for the most part, super treatable. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about solutions. Real, evidence-based steps you can actually take to get your energy back and, reclaim your mornings. Here is a super powerful evening routine you could literally start tonight. Okay, step 1, no caffeine after 2 p.m. Seriously, that stuff can hang around in your system for way longer than you think. Step 2, about 90 minutes before you want to be asleep, dim the lights in your house. This is a huge signal to your brain to start making melatonin, the sleep hormone. Step 3, an hour before bed, all screens go away. Done. That blue light is a major problem. And finally, for the last 10 minutes, do some kind of relaxation ritual. Read a book, a real one, do some light stretching, just something to tell your body, okay, it's time to power down. So let's break it down even simpler. Just a quick list of do's and don'ts. Your biggest sleep helpers: consistency. Waking up at the same time every single day, yes, even on weekends, and getting some bright morning sunlight as soon as you can. That just locks in your body clock. And on the other side, the sleep killers, those weekend lions that just torpedo your rhythm, doom scrolling on your phone in bed, and yeah, that nightcap we just talked about. Now, for folks with more chronic sleep problems, it is so important to know this. The number one most effective long-term treatment isn't a pill. It's a type of therapy called CBTI. It stands for Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. And instead of just putting a Band-Aid on the problem, it actually gets to the root cause. It helps you retrain those anxious thoughts and bad habits you have around sleep. I mean, the data is incredible. It works for about 80% of people. Okay, but while all these lifestyle changes are amazing and can be total game changers, sometimes they're not enough. And it's really, really important to know when it's time to stop trying to fix it yourself and go see a doctor. And I mean it. If any of these things sound familiar to you, please make an appointment. Loud, disruptive snoring, especially if someone tells you there are pauses where you stop breathing, that is a classic textbook sign of sleep apnea. Waking up with headaches a lot of mornings, that can be a signal too. And of course, if you're just experiencing extreme, can't function sleepiness during the day, or you've tried all these fixes and you are still bone tired, it's time for professional help. So all of this really boils down to one final, really important question you've got to ask yourself. It's not about how many hours you can rack up in bed. That's not the goal. The real goal is making every single one of those hours count. So are you just sleeping long, or are you ready to start sleeping smart? Because really, that's the whole ball game. Focusing on your sleep quality, not just the quantity, is the absolute key to unlocking real, deep rest and finally waking up with the energy you're supposed to have. I really hope this breakdown was helpful for you. If it was, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.